Pretty cool video. Moving on, anything else for open forum? Anything else for open forum, guys? Nope. Let's see. We'll move on to general business. Update on the student memorial. So we can have everyone come up. First, we'll start with Aziz. Presentation.
So for my presentation, I'll be presenting most of it, and then I'll hand it off to Chatty and her group for the rest of it. So mainly going to do a refresher of the student memorial that was passed in Senate last term. So does anyone know where the current student memorial is?
It's
Mr. Hibbo?
the current student memorial is next to the MLK Plaza between that and the Marshall Street site.
Remember you were in the gallery last time? So the memorial, as he said, is next to the bronze bulls in front of the MSC bookstore. See a picture of it here. And the names are here. It's on bricks. And the issues with the brick is that it's damaged prone. Also, it's not really a space for memorial with the high traffic and all of these skateboarders and things like that. So the area, the assessment of the memorial area was that it's not well designed, not a place for expansion. And space is not a place to reflect and remember. So the memorial space you think of a space you reflect and remember, that space did not provide that. So this is a timeline of the ad hoc of what happened. And being formed, reformed. This is the committee results. Design principles that are incorporated in design that you will see in a few slides. Something to be solved to stand the test of time. So this is a new site. Here. This is the design here. Overhead. So this is a 3D rendering. And I'll pass it on to Chatty to explain more.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come and speak to you on the progression of this. We've made tremendous strides since the last time you guys were presented with this student memorial. This project's even early in conceptual stage, and now we have been working with our construction manager and also our engineering consultants to really define the scope of the project, and also to work out all the technical aspects of this project, and make this memorial a place for family and friends to come and remember and reflect on their loved ones. Just to speak about the conceptual, we'll go through some of these renderings. The first one is a view, then from this path right here is an existing sidewalk. The Crescentville. This sidewalk right here is an ADA compliant sidewalk, and ADA stands for Americans with Disabilities Act, and we have to have that in order for this site to be compliant. Okay. Right now, the Crescentville is not ADA compliant. All the sidewalks that we have surrounding that site, it's not compliant. So, in order to make this compliant, we have to put this sidewalk in, and this sidewalk takes you to the corner of Crescent and Brother Marshall Center. And so standing here, as you walk off into the field, you see the entire site, the student memorial. At the foreground, you have this low ceiling wall, and it's lined with landscaping, and in the background is your granite wall with engraved names, and behind that is the existing landscaping and flags.
You should have a.
So this one is standing in the north entrance, looking at the wall. On the right-hand side is a fountain, and there is a truck that runs from this fountain into the reflection pool. If you notice, there's some names engraved in the granite right now. That's just a placeholder. So I hope to fill up just the first panel, and then the remainder of the panels, there's 5 additional ones that will take us up to 30-40% of what we put out. And there's also, Rick Raymond Arts, part of an expansion phase. We'll be hoping not to expand until the whole entire wall is built. This one is standing in the north side, looking back. So you see the flag from the Great Royals in the background, and in the middle ground is your memorial, and then again the foreground is some landscaping. The next few slides, these are shadow studies of placing trees along existing sidewalk. The shadow studies are taken at different times of day, showing 2 times of the year, fall and spring, just to see how shadows would pass onto the site. The top one is September at 9, the bottom one is February at 9. So the shadow is more elongated at February, because the sun angle is lower. This one should be at noon. So at this point, the project has been more developed. The site was surveyed earlier this month. The fountain and the reflection pool have been designed. So what you see now, this is a shop drawing done by one of our consultants, showing the fountain, the truck, and the reflection pool. And it's such a beautiful design, and a really special component within this memorial. And this is where most of our budget is being spent, within this special piece of water features. So now that we have a better understanding and challenge with the cost of construction of this very special and one-of-a-kind project, we would like to request additional funding to the current amount of $330, which is what we have now, to meet the requirements of the Student Memorial, in the amount of $72,000. The requested amount is to address the enhancement of the design to meet the consideration of the memorial, the cost of specialty items such as this fountain, reflection pool, and also the granite wall. Costs due to site design and permit work. Because of the location of this memorial, do you have that site that I can see? It's in your.
I can pull it up.
The Shelton site lacks in a lot of site utilities, so at 530. So the site lacks in a lot of site utilities, such as sewer lines, water lines,
Well, I know that we have work, which is the source, will be the source for our water.
So you can see all the color lines throughout the right here, Personal Garage and Student Marshall Center. All the color lines that you see on the site plan are utility. If you notice, here's our site. It has no utility lines at all. So in order to properly function this particular memorial and the fountain and the reflection pool, you need to add in a lot of the site utilities, such as drainage and things like that. Would you like to speak more to the site constraints?
Well, obviously the site was chosen based on the attributes you look on the map, you'll see some green lines over there in various places. Those are sanitary lines. Generally, you would like to try to, drain a fountain to a sanitary line, if you have anything like that. So, one of the things we're going to incorporate in this particular project is a way to dispense with the overflow in the fountain, when you go to the door. We can't just discharge that to open doors, because of chlorine and stuff. So, one of the things we will be incorporating, put in like a French drain system. We have either that option or put in a neutralization basin in order to discharge it to a storm system. That black line you see up right here is a storm system. We could use that, but we've got more in the field of the filtration system would be a cheaper alternative. Certainly take care of the need to discharge the fountain, maintenance, or just in general overflow. So that's one of the things that I lighting. As you see, there's no real source of lighting that traverses through the site.
Right now, the existing lighting, just lines this entrance here, one of the codes is that once you light up a space, you have to light up the path that takes you to the space. So part of the money is being spent to light up this path right here, and also the new ADA sidewalk to lead you to the space for student safety and such.
Terry, can you tell me where the VA sidewalk is picking up?
The ADA sidewalk would start from here, so it will take people, families, friends visiting, parking, within the present garage, walk up and meander between the trees and into the site.
And that path would be lit up. And the source of that power would be over by the garage, so that's, bring that, into the site.
At the beginning of this project, we were looking at sourcing the power from the credit union, which would be a really long run, and electrical engineer looked at the Crescent Hill garage, there was a new panel that was placed in, and so now the run is shorter, so they're giving us more. So, we knew that this fountain design is going to be a premium, but we just didn't realize how much of a premium it would be. We didn't have anything to compare to from on this particular campus. We have a few fountains that we compared to, and triple the price if it wasn't in line.
It is quite a unique feature. Any questions in regards to the layout? We are able to pick out of the details as to how the fountain works. The construction there.
I think one good thing to really point out is the fact that the going to also, it's a fairly busy corner there, but because of the way we're doing the landscaping and the fountain itself, it's going to provide some nice ambient noise from the fountain, which also can be changed. The family and friends coming, you can turn it down so it's not as pronounced. If it's a windy day, turn it down. But all that water will flow in front of the granite, and it'll also be active there, and then there'll be lights in there that'll be shooting up onto the water. So that's all incorporated in it. And all the workings of the fountain will be in a structure that will be easy to get to and easy for maintenance, but will be landscaped around, so it will be not just something sitting out there. So I think that's it's quite large, the fountain, and it will give a lot of really nice ambient noise to block out any street buses and things like that, because that's as you all know, it's a very busy intersection there.
Thank you, Paula. There will be 5 medium-sized step bubblers to create that ambient noise, and each of the heads will be can be controlled individually. So we can reduce for any type of weather, any type of event, we can reduce philosophically and conceptually speaking, the fountain is the idea of life passing through this trough. Carla had mentioned the wall would sit behind here, and what you see here are lights that would wash up on the wall at nighttime, so this space would be lit throughout the day and at night as well. The infinite edge, this is a true reflection pool. The infinite edge is right along here. Sorry.
You see it also in the photo.
In this section, you can see it right here. This is also lined with granite as well, and so what you see is a vertical wall of granite, and then becomes a horizontal plane of granite. So there's that nice continuation. This is that granite pavers along the horizontal, and the water just sits about 1.5 inches above it, and then it troughs, so it gets this true infinite edge.
You can see that
And the light is submerged right here, and it would light this entire wall at nighttime.
it'll be a very nice project.
Yeah, so this additional $72,000 is being requested of you so that it should sustain the entire life of the project construction. You know, anything that we do not use will be returned to you.
Has construction begun?
As
I
now.
know it was supposed to start summer in the summer, but
It has not yet. There's different phases that we have to go through. We are looking into finishing up all of the technical drawings within the next 2 weeks, and then our engineer consultant will be submitting that part of the civil design into SWIFT, and it takes about a month-long process now for SWIFT to review.
It'll probably be on the outside, but yes, maybe a couple of weeks, depending on their workload, it could be 30 days, but we typically get, kind of quickly.
And so once that gets approved, and then our building code official reviews it, then we can begin site work.
Senator Gibbo?
what would happen to the project if additional money was not allocated?
If the additional money was not allocated, the project would be compromised. We could reduce one of the components. Maybe instead of a reflection pool, we could go with just granite pavers that would also reflect the names of the granite on the wall.
We would have to reduce the scope.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see it as it is in the proposed, better trim back some.
Yeah, we would have to relook at the whole project again. Right now, the wall and the fountain is considered as one component, which is the hierarchy of the design. So without that, the project would be compromised. So we have to regroup again and look at what your desires are for this project.
Senator Hassan?
Why wasn't this fund asked for before? Because from what I know, the project has not started up yet.
Because we have not gotten a construction manager involved. The project, the $330,000 was requested based upon just a conceptual design. Most of the components the price of the components were just being compared to some of the projects that we did on campus, and really not deeply studied yet.
But would the monument be significantly of lower quality if this was not funded?
It would not. I think we would try our best to keep it as nice as possible and as well designed as possible.
Senator Gibbo?
Originally, the capital project was presented at $324,000, but 10% additional was provided in case of such unforeseen expenses. Are these 10% not sufficient?
The 10% is not sufficient. Once you get into construction, and in this type of field, it's typically, they could, they're really help me out here.
Well, the original budget, again, was since then, we, because we've got a construction manager on the board, was able to start putting pricing against some of the amenities, the various features, and then, give us a little bit better understanding as to what those costs are. Prior to that, we really, don't have a good model to work against. We have some fountains on campus, but nothing like this. This is something unique, something very special. I think it was, we intended trying to guess that from the very beginning, but without better information, it was just very, very difficult to nail down a budget.
Any more questions? Senator Harper.
Can the trunk be expanded as well in the future?
Yes, yes, this entire.
Sorry about that, guys. Won't go. Senator Ulloa.
Motion to vote by roll call?
Any objections to voting by roll call? Alright, when Mr. Aziz, says your last name, you could please reply with a yes, no, or an abstain.
Alright, so, Shiflett,
Yes.
Shillett,
Yes.
Gigante,
Yes.
Richmond,
Yes.
Malenga,
No.
Hassan,
No.
Anna,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Miller, Madden,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Ainlay,
Yes.
Block,
Yes.
Gibson, Condon,
Yes.
Ahmed,
Yes.
Hartman,
Yes.
Uloa,
Yes.
Trump,
Yes.
Angar,
Yes.
myself, yes. And Andy,
Abstain. Got it. Well, I haven't pressed play. Do you want to just do it? Everyone please vote. 1 is yes, 2 is no, 3 is to abstain. Anyone missing? That is hilarious. Is that everyone? Yes? With a vote of 23 to 2 to 1, SBA 55001 passes. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Executive branch structure proposal. Fun time. We're gonna have President Coco and the rest of the executive branch present the structure. What documents would you like to have open first? We can do the bill.
You don't have to show this.
Okay.
Let's do the,
Actually, I have a PowerPoint for you. You do. Guys, if you could please be quick. Just go ahead.
alright, word. Alright, Senate, hello. This is our 53rd term executive structure proposed in front of you guys. So we'll get to it. Alright, so new positions. So we're looking to create one position, one new position that has not been in SBA before. And that's the position of auditor general. What we want to do is we want to partner up with the chairman of Appropriation and Audits, Chris Johnson, and come up with a more efficient way to audit student organizations, departments, etc. Because every year we have our ASAR process, which is our Activity and Service Recommendation Committee, and we approve budgets for student organizations, student affairs, etc. So we want to ensure that we're promoting fiscal responsibility, and that when these student organizations come and present to ASAR along with student affairs and whatnot, we have the accurate data that we need in order to allocate on a fair process. So that's the idea behind the auditor general. Right, and so they would report to the student body vice president and president, and they would be working closely together with the CFO. So rather have a deputy CFO, we're going to have an auditor general that will be focusing on auditing and ensuring that we're in fiscal compliance with Title VIII of all of the above. Alright, so yeah, like I said before, there are no additional positions except for the auditor general. We actually removed some positions from previous structures. And it's not to disrespect the other structures, we just wanted to be more lean and more efficient with the amount of positions that we're offering. So right now we're currently offering 23 positions, whereas in the past there's been 26, 27, 28 even. So we're by far the leanest executive structure in the history of SG since I've been.
So we removed the executive clerk. That was last year in the Warnke administration, they had the position of executive clerk, and their task was to provide minutes for their cabinet meetings and do other clerical work. So what we want to do is we want to focus, rather than have a clerk do minutes, we're just going to have one of our other staff members do minutes, whether that's the attorney general or solicitor general, to save money. Part, like I said before, the deputy CFO, we removed that to give the auditor general about 20 hours at 9:55, so that position has more teeth, and they can focus on auditing along with the appropriation. We're going to have a director of university affairs, an assistant, and a coordinator. We're going to have that for university and community affairs. We thought that 2 people in government affairs should be enough to plan for the debate and for USFDA at the Capitol. And the main focus behind university and community affairs is for community affairs, we want to focus on building relationships with the Chamber of Commerce and promoting the internship network that we're working on. We want to create you guys jobs and internships. So the Director of Community Affairs will be primarily working on that, working on USFDA at the Bucks, USFDA with the Rays, Busch Gardens deals, pretty much our community partners that we want to partner up with, creating hopefully a discountable program. We want to provide discounts to students at a good rate. So let's say if we can convince Chipotle 10% off for students every Wednesday or something like that. This is what this person will be working on. University affairs will be primarily focused on university aspects. So the vision behind that is athletics. We want athletics to be involved with that. We want safety to be involved with that. We want wellness. We want Greek life. We want housing. Pretty much everything regarding university life to be there. So that's why we gave them an extra coordinator, because that's a lot. There's a lot to handle. And so we're going to give these university and community affairs more teeth. Berkowitz can attest, he was university advancement. There's only so much you could do in that position because there's a lot of university issues. UWCs is another issue, Mr. Hartman, that we'll be working on together. So that will be in that department. And then of course government affairs will be focusing on debate this fall, a candidate forum that that exec branch wants to host, USFDA at the Capitol, and voter registration and stuff like that. So yeah, total of 8 positions. The colors, similar responsibilities, additional initiatives, and that's pretty much what I said. For marketing, communications, and programming, no new positions were added to those departments. We focused on removing a couple coordinators. We felt that the extra needed coordinators wasn't necessary. We wanted to save some money, and we wanted to give our people the benefit of the doubt. So we removed 2 extra coordinators from programming. So it will still be a director and an assistant director. And
simultaneously with each other. So that kind of looks like both radio being played through tap right on the safety and golf guard, as well as playing music within the computer lab, not at a loud, obnoxious level. But basically making sure that all the agencies are working with each other, so like there's coordinating, so communication in that respect.
Alright, so again, in comparison to last year's budget, they had a total number of 26 positions, and their projected payroll expense, which does not include overhead, was 157, whereas ours was 150, so we're a lot cheaper than last year's was. And again, we have 23 positions. ASARC allocated us 176. This includes overhead, which is 15%, and overhead, Aziz, you want to explain overhead?
So last year, for the executive branch, it was 10%, and this year it's 15% to incorporate Affordable Care Act. So that's why the amount is increased. Like it's the overhead for payroll reserve projected to 15% for this year.
For Coco or Rondo, Coco.
Projected for Coco, so before payroll reserve is 150.
Yeah, if you want to go back to that.
And what was the first part? It's 150, 234, last year's 157.
Cool.
Alright. I'll take a motion to enter reading for SBS 5501.
Motion to read SBS 5001.
Any objections? Do you have anyone reading it or?
I do. You take first.
Okay, so we'll just take a look at it really quick.
Can you read that? That's good. So it's essentially embodies the changes that were just mentioned to you guys. The changes that are made to the non-standing regular positions of the executive branch. So that's all of these other positions we were just talking about, the departments and the programs and all those things. But anyway, so here it is. It's not really an amendment. If you just scroll out, the place where the changes are made are here, where you have these departments. It removes the language. The most important change that you'll see, well, you won't really see, is the change from secretaries to the departments. And so now here it just lists out all the departments separate, as well as each of their positions according to what Mr. Coco just presented. There really isn't very much else to read. All of it's pretty straightforward. This was sent out to the Senate?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so you guys probably had a chance to read that. Yeah. That's the bill. Questions or concerns that I might not be the best to answer? Mr. Coco probably has their own. Oh, hey, look, it's clear then. Right. Building house. You see here is a small if
the SG for a travel grant, as well as maybe College of Engineering has been giving them funds too. So in the end, they've been having more money than they actually need, and so they have like excess, a surplus that actually goes into their account or whatever. And so the business office oversees the conference presentation grant. And so they have put this in it, and so Aziz and I figured that we might as well have all of our grants mirror each other, and so that rather, the point of SG is to give like supplement funding, not actually fund everything that an organization wants. So we put it so that the organizations can't be essentially double dipping by getting money from us for a certain trip and money from different organizations. So in 810.2.24.1, we changed here, it says allocation. Before it used to say the request. So essentially if they requested more than $15.50 for their grant, I guess technically it'd be against statute, so we would technically have to decline them, just because of word choice. So we just changed it from the request to allocation, saying that we can't give them more than $15.50, but they can request more if that's what they need. It also stops them from trying to stop right at $15.50 just because that's what the instructions say. We can let them request as much as they need, so we know how much they actually need. So we're not giving them everything, but if we cut off, like, let's say 50%, we know how much 50% actually is. And then it's done one more time right here for the engineering expo grant as well. It's the same thing.
Any questions? Senator Hassan.
So if there are two entities funding the same person, is there no method of monitoring who is funding how much and whether there's actual double dipping or not? Or are both the funds actually subsidizing part of the travel grant?
So if it's a person, say like Brandon gets accepted for his thesis implementation, that's conference presentation grants, and that in that conference presentation grants it says that they can't double dip. It's the same exact rule. That's why they mirrored onto this legislation so they're consistent. But if you're a student organization, like reword your question for student organization. I'll be able to answer it.
No, like if the student organization gets the funding from somewhere else and it just partially, like say 20% or 30% subsidizes their trip, and if they get like say 20% from us, is there a way to find out whether they're actually making a profit out of it or not, or whether it's not even covering their whole cost, like a method of auditing the whole thing?
So the whole point of the travel grant is a subsidy for your costs, and the whole point of like student government, it's kind of a courtesy or like a thing we're giving the travel grant because all universities don't have it. There's only X amount of dollars to use up is in high demand, so that's what the travel grant is for. Essentially, if the university is, or some part of the university is already giving you money for it, then we feel that it's up to the students to also, or the organization to actually fund part of it, not for SG to finish the rest of the cost. So the point of the travel grant is to subsidize so that students aren't paying their whole trip to give them something. So let's say College of Engineering is already paying 50% or 75% for an organization. We don't feel it's necessary for the student government to pay the last 25% just so they can get their whole trip paid. It's more because the point of the grant is to essentially help for the university as a whole to be helping students. So if part of the university is already helping students, then we don't feel it's necessary for us to do the same.
One last question. Any other entity?
Senator Hassan.
Motion to enter into
We have to read it at least 2 more times because there are 2 chapters being revised in this bill before we can vote. It's 2. It's 8. Isn't it 2? It's 2 chapters. I saw Senator Alfaro.
Is this time pressing in any way?
Essentially, we would like it passed mostly for the allocation things because the grants are hopefully going to be up by June 1st, and it would have to be written on the actual grants what their max and stuff everything is. So you guys could delay it another week if you guys want, or I guess it's going to be 2 weeks, but that would mean that we can't start any grants until 2 weeks from today, and grants take 25 days to process, business days. So it depends on what you guys feel, which would mean that no one could even get travel money or anything. They wouldn't be able to start any travel until like August time.
Senator Watt?
Since I led the room when it first came up, do I abstain from voting?
Yeah. Senator Hibble.
Motion to change the capital A application to a lowercase.
You don't have to do that. He can, any grammatical errors when he puts it in. But.
Well, I mean, I would think it goes to their. That's why he mentioned.
The vote of 25-0 to 1, SBS 55003 passes. Okay, moving down the agenda. We now have SBS 55-004, clarifying the hiring interview minimum. Do I hear any motions? Senator Antar.
Motion to first reading of SBS 55-004.
Any objections centering the first reading? Seeing none, we'll now enter the first reading of SBS 55-004. Take it away.
Alright, the intent of this legislation is to restore the minimum candidate interviews per position in government. As for a while, we always had 3 interviews per candidate at minimum. Last term we came to 5, trying to fix the problem getting higher quality candidates, and this didn't work out. We just ended up having to interview people that you would not normally interview just to meet the 5. So this here's some changes on here. Starting with 215.2. You used to say to actually mailing listserv. I mean, we really don't ever use that to hire, so it doesn't make any sense to leave it in there. So I took that out and put student body on social media. This is kind of broad, depending on what social media changes throughout like future years. So that's one of our methods of advertising the positions, along with being on the SU website and the employment website. So moving on down, the decision of the committee with suggestions from our Senate President and committee members is for the standing positions, which are the Chief of Staff, CFO, Attorney General, Solicitor General, and also with the addition of the Chief Justice, one of the first positions they hire. So it says the hiring team shall interview the top 5 applicants for the positions of Chief of Staff, CFO, Attorney General, Solicitor General, and Chief Justice, and make a non-binding recommendation to the head of the respective branch making the appointment. The total number of applicants less than 5, the position shall be advertised for an additional 5 business days. In the event the total number of applicants is less than 5, following the second advertising cycle, the team may move on to interviewing the total number of applicants. So what it pretty much says is that the top standing positions, 5 is like the best number. Right? So then underneath that, below after those 5, for the rest of the positions, it goes back down to 3. The hiring team shall interview the top 3 applicants for all the positions, and this may making all of the changes. So for these positions, standing positions, 5 applicants for everyone else, it's 3. And the hiring team is not limited to just like interviewing the people. They have like 6 candidates that are great, they'll interview 6. It's just the minimum. And that should be it.
Okay, in the galleries, President Coco.
Legal officer. Here's a little, keep going.
Informing members of the student body council, a little grammatical change.
Alright, can you say your name? You don't have a name,
Yeah, Senator Freitas, substituting for Liz. I thought that we had to change the second of, that might be correct though, or maybe add space. After media.
The second of?
Yeah, should be space.
Oh, okay. Okay. Senator Yula.
Question for Mr. Aziz. Sure. Do you feel there should be a day minimum of advertising on social media, or as long as they do it that one day before or something, it's okay?
No. The main thing is it being on 5 different states on the actual website and our website. And they do cycle through, because social media, you don't like bombard it like over and over again. People get kind of annoyed. So when will they like strategically place it? Usually at the beginning of the cycle or times people are like on their Facebook or Twitter. So you don't really put like a minimum of like social media days.
Any more questions? Senator Hayman.
So what made you want to change it from instead of minimum of 5 to 3 to the top 5?
So you scroll down. So this is I don't want to explain this and your suggestion.
Okay, so what it used to be was for every position in the executive cabinet, or executive branch and executive branch, you would have to interview a minimum of 3 people per position. Last term it changed to 5, and what they found is it's a bit excessive. You're interviewing too many people, and a lot of times you're not interviewing people that are good for the position. So my suggestion was, to make everyone happy, is making the top 4 positions in the executive branch plus Chief Justice still a minimum of 5 interviews, just because these positions are a little bit more, they entail a little bit more work and experience. And every other position, so essentially directors, coordinators, secretaries, whatever they're called this year, would only have to go through 3. It just makes more sense.
Because the way I read it, it says like top 5, meaning you can't go over 5. So if you had 6, would you not be able to interview 6?
Yeah, they've always done it that you can do, that's the bare minimum. So I guess the wording is a little bit confusing.
Maybe if we insert the words at least the top 5, that would clarify better for you. Maybe it'll be better for clarifying it for future senates and executive branch.
Any objections to?
Or we can change it to a minimum of 5 and remove the language of top in general. Interested in suggestion from the senator. Oh.
Okay. Any motions then? Senator Yula?
Motion to enter the second reading.
Any objections? We'll now enter the second reading. Senator Ontar.
Motion to disperse it. Second reading. 20th, and then if that would, okay, I guess technically we're going to be on something like that. Depending, I will motion for, the language of a minimum, the hiring team shall interview a minimum of 5, and then I guess that will also need to be mirrored into 215.7 for the top 3, the minimum 3 applicants. What's that? Yeah. And then there's.
Meeting will not be next week, it'll be on June 10th, so you get a week off from Senate, and yeah, go Bulls. President Coco.
I just want to thank the Senate so much for entertaining the memorial project. It's going to be a long-lasting project at the 51st term to be able to take pride over. I want to thank you for passing our structure. That's obviously important. And I just want to remind you guys of the bag party tomorrow. There'll be food, so please stop by and come by with us. Thank you.
President Voorhees.
And reminder, your cities most likely will be meeting next week while there's no Senate. So just check your emails for the agendas, stuff, make sure you attend. Every other week Senate can get kind of confusing for the committees like JC and like appropriation stuff different workload, so make sure you attend your committees. Hope you guys like the food. It's a little different from what we're used to, so I'll try to mix it up every once in a while.
Okay. I actually have another announcement. I came in last Friday to try to work out the kinks on this, and I thought I had it figured out. I obviously didn't. Aziz and I will be coming back in before the next 2 weeks to make sure that we get this turning point system figured out. The difference is that before in Senate, they used to use this really old computer, and even though it was slow, it worked. This is a MacBook, and things are a little bit different, so we're still figuring that stuff out. So please, thank you for bearing. I promise it'll be figured out by next time.
Like for example, like Andy and I came on Friday, it all worked. So like we did like a full run and like did everything. And today it's
Any more announcements? Senator Hibba.
Proceed to final roll. Motion to proceed to final roll.
Okay. Any objections to moving into the final roll call? Please click 1 if you are present. All of you. One person missing. Oh, that's everyone. With a final count 26. Before everyone goes, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Senator Ahmed.
I motion to adjourn.
Any objections to adjourning? I adjourn this meeting at 8:24 p.m.
Yes,
Are you on special?
There is, I can show you. No. Yeah, the thing is, I don't want to. Okay. Yeah, it worked the other day. Yeah, and actually, it was really
Yeah, okay.
UCJ and is a fun committee on the more fun stuff. And then special funding is definitely they got the time. I can show you what they want me to Yeah, the next meeting is starting at 6:30 as well, but every other meeting after that will be the same. Next meeting, I don't think it'll be as long as the last meeting. That's don't quote me on that.
Well, we shouldn't have as many bills and stuff either.
Okay, that's what I'm.
Maybe interim budgets, but.
Also, what I'm gonna say is,
Maybe actual work.
you guys,
I'll send you the rules and videos on they did it last fall.
Krista?
One of them, obviously JC is my favorite. It's one of my favorites.
The special
Okay,
funding
it's second.
doesn't meet a lot.
JC.
By the way, I'm not having a committee meeting next week, is he? I'm not having a committee meeting next week.
I am.
I don't need one next week. We don't already grab.
Yeah,
Train your people, I train my people.
I'm doing training tomorrow, I still have something to do.
Am I training you tomorrow?
You could do like, one is like really, really good and one is really bad, so no, like, good or bad.
Yeah, you don't think we're gonna do this.
So like, no, for Senate.
What do you mean, like take a
Did you
like a
know-
selfie?
For the Senate.
Oh, no, you would have to be voted in that term. Yeah. Yeah.
So if I were to run again, then
If you, yeah, in the midterm election, you would have.
Plus, but what about the membership cost?
It kind of be like.
Max still compiles.
What wrong with that?
I'm there. I thought you were.
I thought you were supposed to be, I thought